So just to get started here, we have Microsoft Teams is our collaboration tool that we're going to start using as a majority of our way we collaborate internally. And then we're going to open it up externally also to our system, which is already set up right now. We can interact with the system office using Microsoft Teams as if they are part of as if they're part of SLCC. So you can have chats, you can see live presence of users at LCTCS as if they were in our Teams environment, just like you would anybody else that's a member of SLCC. So let's go ahead and put one right here. So as an overview, I don't know how many people are actually familiar with Microsoft Teams, have actually used it. It's the little logo. It's purple. It's got a little T on it, and you sign into it using your email. Once you're logged into the application, it should be on everybody's desktop. You get a ribbon similar to this that has activity, chat, teams, assignments, calendar, calls, files, and then this little ellipse shows there's some additional apps that you can add to your Teams environment individually. So activity, the top one, basically anything that's going on that's related to you pops up in your activity stream. And you'll see little red dots pop up in activity if somebody mentions you in any type of chat or team conversation. Or even announcement that's made out to the public. So right here we have chats. And the next one, the individual and group chats are listed in the left also. These are not part of team communications. We have a lot of people that think that team communications are just a chat.
Thank you.
But individual chats and group chats are outside of Teams, and it's between you, another user, or multiple users inside of SLCC externally, and it's just a private little communications line that's outside of the team that has nothing to do with a specific team. We had people creating teams prior to us locking down the Teams environment to allow for us to kind of get it under control. We had people creating one-on-one chats as teams. Right here is what you want to use to just basic chatting between individuals that are in the school. And then also, if you want more than one, you can add multiple people to a chat, share files in that chat, have video calls, audio calls, and just a lot of communications with the group that's not part of a team. Assignment, that's going to come later as we integrate Teams with Canvas. We're not currently integrated because we have WebEx as our platform that we're using for the instructional side. So that's currently not used. That will be used eventually whenever our WebEx licensing expires. We'll have to reevaluate. Calendar it's just your Outlook calendar. Teams is a great place for the central kind of hub of communication, right? We have everything that's in Outlook is kind of starting to move into Teams, except for the actual email communications itself. Calls, we're not fully using the functions of calls because we don't have our voice system integrated with Microsoft Teams. We are going to be testing with that, but that's still a few years away as far as being, I guess, a fully operational function. Your calls that you do make inside of Teams will show up in there if you did a video call or audio call between anybody, or somebody called you and you weren't able to answer. It'll show missed calls. That you can leave voicemails, so they'll show up in there also. And then files is basically anything that's inside of Teams, Microsoft Teams or OneDrive will be will show up in the files location. So we'll get to a little more specific of each one of these here in a second. So just another basic part of Teams, the difference between a team and a channel. Teams are collaborative groups. We're setting this up to where every department will have their own team. IT has its own team, accounting, admissions. We're working through all of that right now. And what that's going to be is just a little space for everybody to communicate with their coworkers in their department. And it's isolated from the rest of the school. So only the people in that department will be able to see those conversations, those files. And then on top of that, you'll be able to, in the channels, be able to be a little more specific and lock down your channels down to where, let's say it's just a management channel where just maybe the director has some communications with somebody, a manager inside of that department, or even if it's like HR, payroll and benefits, where maybe somebody in the hiring side doesn't need us to actually see the payroll benefits side, you can lock down a channel and just have a separate communications line inside of your team, outside of the general conversation of what's shared amongst the whole group. And then on top of that, we'll have a faculty and staff, multiple faculty and staff college-wide teams, which will include everyone that is a part of SLCC. These teams will be based on kind of functional level. So if it's going to be a grants or committees type communications environment, that's what those teams will be. And the channels will have very specific groups in them, whether it be the grant name or if it is a committee name. And what that's going to do for us is allow us to keep these communications as these 2-year rotations of committees rotate out. You'll still be able to see the past committee communications and also the files, centralized file location for approval of certain documents, editing, collaborative editing of files. And so over onto the channel side, which is underneath Teams, kind of touched on this, right? So you have your team level and then you have your channels under your teams. The channels are specific communications dedicated to a topic or a project. They say department. We're doing it a little bit different. We're breaking the team up by department. So the department itself will be the team header, and then underneath you can break down to your dedicated topic or project within your department. The difference between a standard and a private channel, we have standard channels, which are, if you're a part of the team, everyone can see those communications that go on within that channel in the team. If it's private, the owner of the channel has to add members to that channel for the members to be able to see it. And that's just a way to keep security if it's on some files that are in the team that you don't need to share amongst the whole department, but you need to at least collaborate with somebody else in the department over. That's a good way to keep it locked down to only the people that you want to have access to those files.
Hi, Brad. Can we ask everyone to mute themselves? Because we're getting a lot of background noise. We put it in the chat, but I don't think those people are seeing the chat.
The SLCC department's internal is a moderated team. So we set these up to announce things. So there's no discussions that are had in this team. It actually is just each one of these departments has the ability to announce out to the whole school. And with the admins, I'm sure with IT specifically, I've made some announcements within the Teams environment here to say what, if we're having an outage or if there's having an issue, that's with LCTCS or our know before training, anything like that will come up in the moderated chat. So SLCC Department's internal is a moderated announcement type team, which inside of individual departments, individuals will be able to make announcements to the school. rather than just a blast email to everybody in the school. And then also you can always go back to them and say, let's say the old way of blast email got lost in your list of multiple emails, and you just don't remember what that communication was about. You can always go to the department and say, oh, I think IT had mentioned something the other day, and you can see all of the list of the communications that were announced or broadcast out to everybody on your own time. So, and then also they have links to certain pages inside that channel. We put certain links to the help desk portal, LCTCS, Lola. So they have at the top, they have tabs that are labeled websites that I've added to our moderated channel for people just to go to, and it's a per user deal, so it's not logged in. You'll have to log in just as if you were going to the web page itself. So that's the moderated Teams channel right here. SLCC committees is a little different. You can see here, general academic standard curriculum 1. You see how there's no lock? That means that this is a standard channel, meaning everyone that is a part of the SLCC committee's team, which is everyone at SLCC, has access to view and communicate within these channels. Graduation has a lock next to it. That is a private channel, meaning only people that are added to that channel have access to communicate within that channel and view the files that are in that channel. And I guess, so that's college-wide. And these committees, as people are added and removed from committees, they will pop up underneath here as being available. And then if you're a member of a private channel, you'll still see the lock. These will come and go as you're added or removed from a committee. This is one of the teams that we've already set up and kind of worked with the corporate college team on. This is what the departmental teams will look like. Everybody will have a general. They've decided to separate out healthcare and a couple other of the departments to have their own private communications channels, and also for file share limitations too. So if you put files inside of the channels, only the people that are a member of those private channels will be able to see those files and access them and edit them. In a little bit deeper dive into this, the file system in Teams, we'll cover a little bit later. There are other options to access these files through SharePoint using Teams. There's a little button at the top. I don't want to get too deep in that. We'll be here for a couple hours. But that's also another function of Teams, is access to SharePoint. It's a good front end to SharePoint. You don't have to be very technical and know a whole lot about SharePoint to access it, but you still get all the good functions of the back end of SharePoint. So everybody will have their team, and they will be added to the team, departmental teams, based on your department inside of Active Directory. It'll happen automatically as long as our HR setup, whenever we do a new user, gets added to Active Directory correctly. We will these will happen automatically. We won't have to ask to be put into a certain team. So files in Teams. We just moved to the U drive to OneDrive. So at the very bottom there, you see OneDrive. You can actually access your OneDrive files from within Teams. The recent will show you a combination of Microsoft Teams files, OneDrive files that you recently accessed and edited or viewed at, whatever. Anything that was clicked on inside of the file system will show as recent if it has as a last modified or last viewed date. The most current dates will show up, and it's a list of all the files that you've actually looked at. The Microsoft Teams one will allow you to see all files that you have the most recent edited files of every team that you're a part of in the list on the right side. Downloads is just the last files that you downloaded from the Teams environment or OneDrive environment. It will show up as a list of files that you've accessed recently or downloaded to your computer recently. One of the nice things about OneDrive, we have the access to make it look just like a file folder on our computer. We at the bottom, you'll notice the blue cloud at the bottom there, bottom left, will be in your taskbar if it's signed in. If it's not signed in, it's typically a gray cloud with a line through it. If it's blue like this, that means it's completely synced. It'll put a little red X over if there's any issues with your files that haven't synced between the cloud, and then also it'll show a little blue kind of circular arrow icon if it's still syncing the files. Whenever you log in, we have a setting that's turned on our network that will automatically grab your desktop folder, your documents folder, and your pictures folder from the machine that you're logged into and sync it into OneDrive. Right now, also, you should see under OneDrive, you should see your U drive as a folder in this file explorer. What that allows us to do is, let's say your computer that you're working on gets water spilt on it and it dies, and we lose everything on the hard drive. If you had logged into OneDrive here, we'd have your documents, your desktops, and your pictures synced to OneDrive. You go log into another computer, you log back into OneDrive, it syncs it back down onto the computer that you logged into, and you don't miss anything. It looks just like the last computer you had. Now, applications that were installed, you might have shortcuts. That's about the only thing that I've noticed, that it'll download shortcuts, and maybe the application's not installed on the new computer. Just put in a help desk ticket, we'll get that installed and make that application function again. But you can save to this folder just as if it was a local C drive type folder or network drive that was internal to our old file system that we're using for our personal drives. We're going to be migrating our network drives for the departments into the Teams environment. Once the Teams environment, we're going to have meetings with each individual department to make sure that as we're doing this, that they're aware of the move that's about to happen, and that the location of the file stored is going to be good enough for security reasons for either the department, because some certain folders can't be viewed by the entire department, or however it needs to be situated. But we're gonna go department by department and then move the departmental shares that are currently on the network into the OneDrive, into Teams channels based on the departments. And so basically that's just a very generic overview of Teams itself. Can give you this. And then let's see. I'm gonna drag Teams over my Teams, and also I'm gonna open it up. If anybody has any questions, I didn't pull the chat up, but
Brad, I do have a question, Brad. First of all, thank you for the presentation.
If anybody has any questions, unmute or you can type it in the chat, however you'd like to.
Can you hear me, Brad?
Oh, sorry, hold on. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. First of all, great presentation. I had one question for you. You did a great job presenting. You have come to our team and set up a frame. What I like to do is roll out additional mini trainings via the videos and things of that nature. Would you say that's the best way to have additional training with Microsoft Teams and use, or are there other links that you would recommend outside of the videos?
Yes, that's where I was going right now. So a great resource for training is inside of Teams itself. At the bottom here, you have help. They cover all of the topics, anything you could want to know about Teams. It's all here. You can search. They have some basic stuff. They have things that are actually geared more towards our education environment. Again, we're not using it in that exact method yet, but in general, they have a lot of functions that are just basic things that you can watch these videos on how to do many different things. You can search for whatever you need to, specific to what you're trying to look for. But this is the best resource right here for training in general. And we'll try to build more catered training to what we're going to do operationally inside of the school. But just day-to-day usage of Microsoft Teams, how to find things, how to add things to your departmental team, those types of things. This is the best place for it. And then again, if you need any help, we're here too. So IT is another resource. All right, Chantrell, can our departmental team be linked to an existing Microsoft 365 group? If we already made a departmental team, will it be deleted? So teams and groups are the same to Microsoft. There's either a team-enabled group, or if you create a team from scratch, it actually automatically makes a group. So if they were created already, to fit more in line with the naming convention and the way that we have everything set up going forward, as we meet with your department, we'll migrate whatever needs to be migrated out of the old group or team, however it's set up, and we'll move it into the new team. If not, it may have just been renamed to the old team. Might have been just renamed to match the new naming scheme. One thing I wanted to just cover real quick too is, so this is obviously my view of Teams. You can switch views if you'd like. Some people like dark or light, however high contrast, if you have any type of issues with visibility. Let's see. I'm trying to find I like mine in a list. There is a way to switch it back to tile Teams out, but let's see. So I don't know how many people actually have gone to this. I've been using it. The really important ones, I've been also sending an email along with it, especially for our security awareness assessment recently. So tabs at the top of Teams, specifically ours, this is general use. Everybody can go to this team and view these tabs. If you go to it, this is basically just a website. So Microsoft Office 365, same thing. You know, if anybody has suggestions that they like from us to post, you know, a commonly used website that's specific to IT, or if in your own department that you have commonly used websites that you publish out to our users in the college that aren't part of your department, you can put it within your own department. These were just quick access links to certain this voicemail. So certain websites I went ahead and put in here just because we've been asked these questions, where to get access to certain things. Files, we're gonna start updating this location with FAQ type documents, instructional documents with new things that we're implementing school wide, and this will be a good place.
Mm-hmm. How do I get on there?
Yeah, somebody needs to mute.
Which
That's what Mr. Lopez said yesterday.
which
Hunter, I think
section
it's fine.
do you want to join?
It don't matter.
A lot of people are on the IT one.
Yeah, put me in the IT one.
Hunter, you need to mute your phone.
But you can mute them.
Yeah, I know. I just have to pull it back up. I was doing a presentation. So. Let's see. Okay. Well, it seems like it's resolved. So this is going to be where we place all of our documents for users. This is going to be a good resource location for if you need to look up, like as we transition out of VPN, this will be something that's coming up very soon. And we're going to be transitioning out of VPN access to your desktop over to what's called VMware Horizon View, which is it's an application similar to a remote desktop, but you don't have to have the VPN up to access it. We actually have a gateway access device sitting out on the internet that you can either get to through a web browser or with an app that's installed on your computer. So we'll have how to use that and how to access that here. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the fax system user guide just because now we've had that for almost 2 years functional, and that's pretty standard operations now. The remote access RDP, that one's going to go away, of course, whenever the VPN's turned down. Right now, I'm part of a lot of these teams. My plan is to, as we get the owners of these teams involved with the management of the team, and again, that's going to be more specific training as we discuss these file shares, moving them into your team. We'll also discuss how to manage the team. We have what's called own. I guess I can go through that too. So just kind of a view of what it looks like on the management side of this is you can see all the members. You can see who the owners are, and you can see who the members are. These are all based on, like I said, anytime you see this gray bar right here, this team has membership settings that prevent you from adding or removing members. That means it's basing the membership of the team on a specific field in your Active Directory. So this one right here is a department. If you don't have IT and information technology in your department field, you're not going to be a part of this team. Let's see. Whereas committees, if you go manage team here, you can see we have 6 owners and we have 658 guests, which is everyone in the college. I'm sure everybody knows about the status logos or icons on the member names. These X's mean they're not logged in. Solid greens meaning you're online. Red, busy. The orange is away, like right here. And you can hover over and see away. I'm just going to grab Glenn. So if you double click on anybody, it starts a conversation. Yeah, Glenn's good. I haven't talked to Glenn on here. So one kind of neat little feature they have here in the chat section is organization. And Glenn's obviously one of those without, or I mean, maybe Brittany. Yeah, she might have an organization. You can actually see the org chart for any individual that you want to communicate with and how they report up in the structure of our HR infrastructure right now. This is pulled, and we're going to go back through this because the last time I did it, obviously we had some issues with titles and department names. So we're going to go back and switch a good bit of this over, and this hopefully will be more accurate going forward. But if you're trying to find who reports to who, this is a good way. You can actually get all their contact information too if you click on them, and also you can move up the infrastructure, the hierarchy of the organization that way also. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions in the chat here.
Where's this located again in Teams? Under which is that a ribbon or under a specific group?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Asking again, where specifically in Teams do you pull this off?
So that's under chat. So you go to chat, and then you can pick anybody. You can pick anybody. You can search, and as soon as you click on their name, organization pops up, and that's it'll display the person you clicked on, and you can obviously click on whoever else in the org that you want to look at once you're in there. And this is the files section. I think we're doing a lot with the OneDrive move. We did a lot of migration, so we spent a lot of time in here. In Microsoft Teams shows you the last files that were accessed. Download is just general download information, and then OneDrive is your personal. And just so you know, we are doing, for all of the instruction side, we are doing some WebEx training starting, I believe, tomorrow. And yes, I did record it, so we can send this out too. But the WebEx training itself will be done starting tomorrow, Friday, and Monday. Courtney has those meetings set up for all of the instructional side of the school, which we may be able to just record that and publish it out to whoever wants it. So WebEx is going also, just because I'm getting asked a question about WebEx. WebEx Teams is now called WebEx. There is no such thing as WebEx Meetings and WebEx Teams anymore. The WebEx Meetings app is still around, but the app that was called WebEx Teams before is just called WebEx now. And it looks similar to the way Teams used to look. I guess I'll just do this real quick, but just as in WebEx, you can start a meeting, join a meeting, schedule a meeting. This is your personal room. If you just click start a meeting, this is for ad hoc meetings outside of a scheduled meeting. Join a meeting. If you have a meeting number, you can also jump on to another meeting with just a meeting ID or a room ID, and then schedule a meeting. Same functionality as it is in Outlook. It'll create a calendar invite to all the people that you're required to be part of your meeting. And then it'll show up in here on this calendar and also in your Outlook calendar, as well as Microsoft Teams calendar. So we got, I think, about 10 minutes left. If anybody has any specific questions.
Brad, thank you so much for answering my question about the WebEx Teams. And great presentation. I just wanted to ask you, since we have some time, I hope I'm not hogging anybody else's questions, that with the WebEx Teams, the way you're showing it, can I contact students that I integrate my Canvas courses through this as well, or will I find out in the WebEx training?
Yeah, so let me see, I can log in. into Canvas real quick too. I'm going to just go into my sandbox course here. I'm going to do that. Trying to just grab one. There it is. All right. So in Cisco WebEx, if you click inside your Canvas area for Cisco WebEx, that first piece that it brings up is a general space inside of WebEx Teams. And let me see if I can. Right. So general. So in your chat window here is the same as this window right here. So this is a general, this one's called Breaux Sandbox. So it would be a space that's created called Breaux Sandbox, and it would be the general field under that you would show up in Teams. So you can communicate inside a Canvas in that team here, or you can do directly. If you've already started the space right here, you can go ahead and go in there too. Members, there is a way to, you're talking about one-on-one type communications.
Right, and for the students to be able to use their phones to access me, now that they can't come to office maybe so easily. But if this is outside the topic of today, I understand, sorry.
Yeah, so
that's sometime else.
Yeah, so I think this would be where you do that. So you'd create another channel to communicate with a student specifically that you would like to talk to, and then you just add that student in. Not any students in my class, so.
Yeah, and when they download, should they download WebEx Teams app still, or is it through the WebEx app?
They're only going to get the option to download WebEx now.
Okay, and that will work on their phone, and they can use this feature there. Okay, thank you very much.
So it's also updating right now. They just released WebEx right before Christmas break. So this is all still kind of new. They're allowing both of them to operate. So you can still have WebEx meetings. You can have WebEx and you can have WebEx Teams. But whenever they launch WebEx Teams, it will give them a bar at the top saying, there's a new version, please update. And you hit update, and you won't notice any different. It'll just change it to WebEx instead of WebEx Teams.
Excellent. Love that information. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Hi, Brad. This is Nancy. I know we had this question before because we deal with a lot of external partners, but using Microsoft Teams, and if you have a large file that really can't be emailed across, you can share a large file using Teams with someone that's not associated with SOLAC, correct? Correct.
And I would say OneDrive's the better way to handle that, just because you can cut it off eventually. If they're not part of the team and you share something from the team, I'm not absolutely sure that would work right, because the security permissions go based off of team access, not file level access. So you may have to have that in your OneDrive and share from there. But again, I'm still learning a lot of the nuances to file-specific security. I know right now everything is kind of just locked down as much as we have it from the basics from Microsoft, and it's pretty locked down. If you're not a part of a team, you can't look at files. Just like OneDrive, if you're not the person that owns that personal OneDrive directory, you're not going to get access to those files unless they share it. So I'll have to look at that one and get back to you on that.
Okay.
That's a good question, Amanda. I have not found a way to do that. We're actually trying to get Eric, the CIO over at LCTCS, to just pair our Teams environments together rather than, I guess, make us an account in their Teams environment that you have to switch between. So Amanda was asking if we can be a part of our Teams environment and LCTCS's at the same time, and not have to log back and forth between the two Teams environments, which they created me an account inside of LCTCS's Teams environment. And what ended up happening is the only way I can do it right now is I have to do it on my phone because I didn't want to add it here. But you can go and add other accounts, which is this Microsoft one that I'm a guest of. I don't have LCTCS set up in my team app on my desktop, but I have it on my phone and I can switch back and forth. We're working on how to interact with each other right now. It's still Eric and LCTCS and SLCC actually were the first two to pair our Teams environment. So nobody else in the system is doing it. And so we're kind of playing around with it to figure out exactly how this works and the best practices for security between the two environments before we just open it wide open between the two. And then also, as I learn how ours is kind of set up and the best practices in the way we set up our teams and our channels inside of the teams is also getting them to kind of agree to it, that we do it the same way, so that it's not too confusing going forward whenever we have to interact with the system office. All right. So the OneDrive sync that happens between your computer and the cloud, I would not recommend you doing the sync on personal computers. It's a personal drive, so that's up to you if you want to. At home, I would recommend using the Team app to access your OneDrive files, or you can just go to the web page, the Microsoft, what is it called, office.com, sign in with your email account, and then access the OneDrive folders through the web interface. It's a personal preference. I personally don't want all of those files synced down onto my personal computer, so I use the web app so that I can not fill up my hard drive at home with things like my desktop icons from here. But again, it's a personal preference. Bandwidth wise, it shouldn't take much. It depends on how large your user directory was whenever it was here. We did have some very large user directories that we moved over into OneDrive. But in most everybody was in a range where I would say is reasonable for OneDrive, 10 to 40 gigs worth of data inside their U drive. The limitation for OneDrive is 1 terabyte. So nobody was anywhere near that. I think the closest we had was somebody around 600 gigs. So just over half of that limitation was the highest usage. So again, I still web app at home, desktop app here. It'll kind of keep your desktop at home clean, and then also here, whenever you come log in, it won't sync any icons that you had on your personal desktop at home. So we got 1 more minute left. Anybody else have a quick question? All right. Well, no questions. I guess I'll go ahead and close out. Thanks for everybody's questions, and see you back in the main session. Have a good one.